There we go. I am rusty at this, guys. It's only been 3 weeks. So first of all, first and foremost, welcome back to the game room, guys, and more so, welcome back to Koei Tuesday, my fellow warriors. Now, I know it's been a little bit of time since the last stream, and I was supposed to have some recordings up and done and edited and ready for this month. But sadly, life kind of kicked me directly in the ball sack, and it hasn't actually been a good 3 weeks or so. Actually, it's been really, really rough going. But tonight, at least, gives me two things: one, outlet to get away from all of that nonsense, even if it's just for a few hours, just to get away from it and refocus myself so I can deal with what's to come. And two, to find a little bit of enjoyment that I haven't had in a while, and that's in playing and talking about Dynasty Warriors games. So in a specific case, again, I was supposed to do a whole overview of Dynasty Warriors 9 Empires after I finally finished a live stream playthrough, which, again, thank you to everyone who watched those playthroughs. You guys made it so much fun, including everybody who jumped in the chats in some of the episodes. Like, you guys just helped enhance the experience for me. So thank you guys so much. As per usual, the chats are live, especially today, because I kind of want to go over my thoughts after finally finishing a full playthrough of what I think of the game. I've had a lot of things that were like maybe felt nitpicky, maybe a little, maybe not so much. I had some things that I really felt like stuck out like a sore thumb. Things that were taking out from the last two Empires games that I felt like would have honestly probably enhanced this game more in the way of like the Create Suite. So there's a lot. And the Create Suite itself, the more I've been trying to use it, the more I realize how much more limited it seems, which is weird because you would think that with the system they're using now that it would be a little bit more to do with it, but there are some issues. There are some issues, and I will go over all of that during this live stream. But what I will also do, so that it's not boring for you guys and you're not just staring at me the entire time, I'm gonna run some gameplay as well. Just, like I said, make it interesting, right? So you guys at least got something more to focus on. So I'm gonna switch this from this beautiful face cam that is getting ruined by my face being in it, and switch this over to the gameplay screen for all of you. So here we go. That's much better, isn't it? Look at that. You guys got this game on the screen now. You still got my ugly mug, but it's not as big. It's not as in your face, like, which is the more important thing, right? So, first thing I am willing to address is what happened at the end of the final stream, which was the shocking surprise of the birth of a character cutscene that we got at the end, because I had totally forgotten about it. Like, it was told to me, I forget what episode that was. I think that was around like stream number 6 or 7. And somebody jumped in the chat and pointed out to me that, hey, children aren't born until after you finish the playthrough. Which I thought was a little bit meh. But at the same time, I can kind of see a thing for it, right? And for me, I have characters who, some of them do have like actual lineage. I haven't started creating them in this game yet because I'm still trying to wrap my head around how I'm going to make them look. Here's a guy who should have been a character a long time ago. Here's another guy who should have been a character a long time ago. Why don't we have these two in the game yet? Just somebody tell me. But, so at the end of that stream, we got a new character. And this was our new character. I decided to give her the name Yu. I was racking my brain for the longest, and that's what I came up with. So I'm actually kind of happy about this. Now, if I do another game playthrough, I have to see if I get the role that I want if I pair two characters together. I am hoping yes, but I am doubting so. But, you know, as per usual of any Empires game, of course it, you know, coupled a bunch of stuff together from both the mother and the father. I decided to make a few adjustments of my own, including the choice of weapon. So that happened. I think this will undoubtedly be an interesting one later to have for sure. But that's where that left off, right? So here's where I am now, currently with my characters. After learning a few things while playing the game on and off stream, well, mostly on stream, the only things I've done off stream is made tweaks while learning things after the streams. So I would go in and make a few tweaks here and there to some of my characters for the next playthrough so that, you know, certain things match up a little bit better. And the one thing that I have changed for sure is the titles, because my God, I didn't realize how important the titles were until I started playing this game. And honestly, this whole titles and military units specialty thing could have been done so much better, right? So they only give you a base of 3, and this is your rock, paper, scissors system outside of gameplay. But in gameplay, there are more. There is, and I cannot remember the name of this game for the life of me, and if anybody remembers it, feel free to jump in the comment section and tell me the name of this game. But I remember a long time ago, back when I was in high school, me and my homeboy, shouts out to Gelly, we were playing this game, and it was a semi like a unit game. If you've played Bladestorm, it's kind of like that, just without the actual you having to run around and grab the units. It literally lets you pick the units before battle, and then you went in on the battlefield and you kind of went around and did the whole thing. It was an interesting game. I thought it was cool. If I remember correctly, I think it was a medieval fantasy game, because I do remember one of the units being an elf unit, if I'm remembering that correctly. But it had a category of multiple different units, mostly based on, you know, weapons and or if they were like horseback and stuff like that. So instead of it being a rock, paper, scissors system in a linear sense, it literally had like more of a flowchart-ish thing. Almost kind of like if any of you guys have ever played any of the Fire Emblem games. You know, like certain people match up better against certain types of enemies. So, you know, okay, if I'm going to fight that enemy over there, I should probably send this person, or, you know, because the weapon classes, or, you know, the type of character they are. Maybe this guy's a knight, and this one's like a high knight. Okay, maybe I shouldn't be sending my knight to fight the high knight. Maybe I should be sending this dragonair instead to shit all over him, because what's he gonna do? Nothing. That's what. And that's how you have to look at it. With the additional units that they had added in during gameplay, I started to get the feeling that they could have done that with this, and it would have worked out better. As far as the titles are concerned, I understand that the titles are supposed to be about alignment, which is a weird thing to do, because the way some of these are named, it feels like that name shouldn't fall under an alignment of any kind, in my opinion. But it's a weird thing, right? So, and it's even weirder because they have no real bearing on your stats. And honestly, if I would have done anything with these titles, I would have made it so that they had some sort of bearing on the battlefield for you. Whether it was these are the type of strategies you could get with, or maybe it gives you a certain influence over certain types of enemies. Maybe, stuff like that. Just weird stuff like that that would make it more strategical or more tactical, or just have some sort of use. Maybe even like you have like a native ability that can just go off automatically, right? Like, for instance, you like tacticians. You could literally give them free ambush as a passive. And it activates in, let's say, like 45, maybe 50% health. And it's just an ability that goes off. And it's like this is my trump card for the scenario. Like, it would be cool. Or maybe it's a personal skill. Like, that's their personal strategy, right? So this thing goes off. And that brings me to another thing that I kind of miss, but we'll get to the things that I miss category after I talk about this whole Create Suite thing. So, the other thing with the Create Suite, and I'm probably gonna get just blasted completely. I'm expecting it. So, I like the idea on paper, right? The idea of this Create system is good on paper. In execution, I can tell you a game that has done it better since they started doing created characters and has done nothing but expanded with the same idea that they were trying to incorporate in this game. And that game is Soul Calibur. Essentially, this is Soul Calibur's Create system, but light. Very, very light. There's a lot of missed opportunity here. So the number of robes and armor pieces and stuff that you have are very limited, but Soul Calibur has always made the argument of using a layering system. Yes, you may only have 10 pieces of equipment in each layer, but you have 3 to 4 layers to work with. You have a bottom layer, you have essentially 2 medium layers, and then you have a top layer. And I feel like this is where this game would have benefited from having multiple layers like that. Whereas this is more just 2-layer system, right? So, for instance, and this is going to be, let me use a new slot just for this demonstration. Just for this. So, case in point, guys. I'm going to use a female template because this will be the easier. Yeah, actually, no. There is a male armor I can use. Never mind. We can use the male. It's fine because my favorite armor class is in here. And one known as Lu Xun. And this is going to make my argument exactly. So, we're just going to put everything Lu Xun for a second. Oh, actually, Zhao Yun's on here too, right? Zhao Yun's a much better example than Lu Xun. And I'll explain to you why in a second. Why this is happening. So, okay. This is Lu Xun's armor set, right? The full thing. His robes, his armor pieces, his leg, all that, right? Here's where this fell short. You put this in here, but you didn't split the layers. What if I didn't want the full Zhao Yun experience? What if I just wanted maybe Zhao Yun's robes and a different type of armor? Or maybe Zhao Yun's armor pieces, but different robes to go with it. Maybe I didn't want the pants at all. Maybe I wanted it to look like I'm wearing a whole entire robe set with armor on top. What if I want to do something like that? I can't. Because it wasn't set properly as separate layers. Same thing with all the other DLC stuff in here. And this is what really upset me about this, because we got armor stuff for DLC from previous games, and we didn't get everything. We got like a small, very small taste. Like this right here could be, if you split it into 3 layers, this outfit could be the medium layer right here alone. With, you know, boots being whatever you consider it to be, whether you consider it top or bottom layer. Because you could always put armor on top of the boots too. That could be considered top layer. So, you know, different ways to do this stuff, people. And like I said, Soul Calibur has done it this way for years and has excelled extremely at it. And I know they don't have to do exactly like Soul Calibur for certain. I agree, but at the very least, this would have definitely benefited from 3 layers system minimum. So something like this, for instance, is under armor instead of being under the robes, where I could have put armor over top of this to add something to it. Or maybe I didn't want the chest to be showing. Maybe I wanted it to look different, right? So I put armor there. That would have been cool. And the reason why I say a top layer system as well is because the other side of this could have been, maybe you make this jacket a top layer, and then you can put something as the medium layer and have armor under the jacket, which would have been even cooler, because there are a lot of characters in Dynasty Warriors, and there's a lot of armor in Empire's history that shows people wearing robes with armor plates and stuff under the robes, which is fairly realistic, guys. I mean, come on. So, I mean, why not? And then, of course, you know, your capes and all that stuff. You can make all that top layer, and it would be fine. At least that's my opinion. So that's my, I think, rant about that part of the crate system. And then we've already gone over how I feel about this. And honestly, this right here, the ability types, it's a little bit shorter than what we're used to, but it still follows the same format, so I'm not really mad at it. But this part right here and this part right here definitely could have used some improvements. And speaking of this particular part, the military specialty units, let me tell you, my second favorite thing about the Create Suite that now brings me to my favorite part of my whole discussion here. Things that I miss in Empire's games that were not in this game. And definitely the game could have benefited from these things. So thing number 1 that I missed, creating the units. That was the best thing that they introduced in Empire's 8. Being able to create your own unit and actually like show, this is what my troops look like. Best thing ever. This game could have really benefited from that, especially with the color wheel stuff now. Like creating your own color for your forces to wear, like robes and armor of your choosing. Like, come on, guys, that would have been dope. And I'm not expecting it to go into detail where it's like, oh, pick every individual thing about what your troop looks like. No. But give me categories. The standard soldier, the peasant, the bandit look. You know, give me multiple styles that I can pick from, like we've had in previous games, and maybe even expand on it a little bit and just allow me to alter the colors and do a banner again. Dude, that would have been amazing for this game. Like, absolutely amazing. Mind-blowing even, right? And I would have probably been more invested in the create system then. Like, honestly, I've been trying to recreate characters that I had created in the last couple of Empires games, which the list is getting shorter as more characters that I had created are turned into characters and stuff like that. So I end up having to go through the list again and going, all right, who am I making? Who's not a character yet still? And just doing that whole bit. So I've been jumping between the games to kind of write the list down again, but I haven't really had time to like really settle down with it to do it. So at some point. But it not having as much to work with armor wise has made it really difficult. Now, I am going to say I am happy for the inclusion of this armor. This specific armor right here, I am happy they included it because I've always been trying to, every game that I create Cao Hong in. Cao Hong has been very hard for me to keep looking a certain way because I wanted to give him like that. Yes, I am of repute and respect, but at the same time, I'm also kind of the rugged guy, the rugged rogue, because I like to gamble. Like, look it up, guys. Look it up. He's a gambler. But giving him this and then being able to give him like the beard and everything with the like, I felt like this kind of fell into what I was looking for just a little bit, just a little bit. It was a nice touch, but some of the other stuff like the panda and all that stuff, I just wish it didn't look the way it looked because I'd find more use for it. And then Zuji, like honestly, I don't mind the look for Zuji, and I don't mind this look for Ding Feng either. Like, and this is the other Ding Feng guy, the one that dies. So, like, just trying to come up with stuff to make them seem different has been kind of the challenge for me, but it's still fun. But when I have very little to work with too, and the one thing I hate to do is repeatedly use the same thing over and over and over again. If I can find a way to make a character look distinct, then I'm trying to. But if I get to the point where I find myself using the same armor piece 5 times in a row, then it starts to get a little muffled. So all I'm saying is, at that point, add more stuff. Like, you have a huge library of old armor to pull from. Just start sending it all over. Why not? But again, do the thing that I'm asking for and actually properly separate the layers. That way we can have a proper placement for all the armor too. Like, if it has like armor accoutrements like how I have this set up right now, like fine, but let me get all the robe stuff on whatever layer it should be on too. If it's not supposed to be part of the armor, it shouldn't be, right? Like, for instance, like this waistline, that's definitely armor to itself, but the robe could technically be all to itself. Just saying, I could have had the robe as one whole piece, and then the armor that's under the robe could have been separate to itself. So I'm just saying, there's a whole bunch of different ways this could have been done better. So, and for me, this is me really reaching to try and get as close to I can to how some of my characters looked in 8 Empires, but we're not making it. And I hate that I'm actually forcing myself to use this armor set for this. I had a whole nother idea in my head, but it just didn't pan out. Just not enough stuff to work with, sadly. But again, I might come under fire for saying that, but that's just my personal take. Take it or leave it. The other thing I want to discuss is obviously going to be battle in this game. Like, after fully playing through and seeing that it was exactly what everybody feared, that all the battles were just going to be very small siege battles, like they were. Like, ultimately, Empire's game does break down to the final battle on the field, but when the final battle is a siege like that, every battle shouldn't be a siege like that. So, here's what I initially thought could have happened. Some of, like, the way the maps are designed, right? They're designed to look more like skirmishes rather than actual battles. So, I was thinking, maybe you could literally make the skirmishes come back, right, to help weaken enemy defenses or whatever, like you did in 8 and 7. Bring the skirmishes back. Make those small areas like that for the skirmishes. And then for the full-fledged battles, and I get it, you want to do the whole castle siege thing, and that's all good and dandy, but not every stage has the big castle like that on the pieces of land. So what do? Well, in those major battles where you're actually going for that piece of land, or you're defending it like wholeheartedly, like do the map the right way. Draw it out like a true Dynasty Warriors map would be in these battles. Like, since 4, we've had like all the base stops, the different bases, like we've had the supply bases and all the defense bases, the assault bases. Why aren't those back? Because we decided to go for small plots of land on the battlefield where we're building our siege weapons. I remember when siege weapons weren't even in the games, and then when they finally did start coming in the game, they were equipable skills that certain characters had to have, which honestly I'm not against going back to, but I'm also not against the idea of having places on the field where they can be built either. So why not have sieges be based on final battles for a person's kingdom? Like, each kingdom's like main land is where the siege happens, right? And you still have like the drawn out battle, like you gotta still push across the battlefield and everything to get there. And then when you get to a certain point, you can start taking certain key spots to start getting your engineers together to build up for the siege. And then that's when you can go into the full siege thing. Like, I feel like that would be a little bit better. Like, the further you push, the more chance you have of getting prepared for the siege and all that stuff. Like, I think that would be a much better way to go about it. Just personal opinion, personal take. These are my ideas. You don't have to go with it. If you have your own ideas, again, in the comments. If you guys have anything that you want to say at all during this time, like, definitely in the comments. But now, again, this is just me speaking purely on like what I would have liked to have seen better for execution and stuff like that, right? This has no bearing on my enjoyment of the game, because I think, as you guys saw, I did enjoy this game quite a bit. Like, if I'm being honest about it, and I'd like to think I am, my enjoyment level for this game is about the same as any other Empires game. Like, at the end of the day, I don't think there's such a thing as a bad one. I just think that some do things better than others. And if I had to place this one, as far as how much I enjoy playing it, I would place it probably under Empire 6, because I really thoroughly enjoy playing Empire 6. Like, Empire 6 brought a lot of stuff in that they build upon later through 7 and 8, but so I think this one will probably be closer to the bottom picks, and I think my top picks would probably be like 7 and 8 fighting for the number 1 and 2 spots. Like, I could literally switch those two for either spot on any day of the week. 5. Would I put 5 over 6? I would. I would put 5 over 6. And then 6, then 4, and then this game. I think that would be my order for Empires, specifically. So, yeah. I mean, like I said, it's not the worst, right? But it is something that could be, you know, worked on a little better, because it gets, like, when every battle is the same battle, it gets a little monotonous, especially when you don't get to do like I was trying to shoot for an event battle during the whole thing, and I never got to pull it off. and I still have yet to pull one off. And I'm actually going to try to pull one off on my off time when I'm not like recording or streaming, just so I can kind of see if an event battle actually pulls out and what that looks like. And I swear, if the event battles are siege battles too, no bueno. Like, being able to do those major battles from history is a huge thing. And honestly, the one thing that I always appreciated about earlier Empires games is that they didn't care about like force or how many created characters were on the field or who was being replaced by what. It was just, here's a time frame, this is when this happens, this has to be on the field. Period. Make it a thing. And so long as you met those requirements, you were good. But this game, I don't know, like, it felt weird trying to do it. It was just like, I couldn't meet the conditions to get the battle to happen no matter what I did. Like, it's really weird. I'm gonna try it again. Maybe there's something that I missed, and I'll probably go online and look it up, because maybe there is something I missed, right? But if I didn't miss anything, then it just didn't happen because the game's petty. So, the music change. It's real. So, the other thing that I'm going to go back into in a second is my whole issue with rock, paper, scissors in the first place. Like, I know they've been trying to make this a thing since 8 happened with the Earth, Man, and Heaven weapons, which honestly I feel like takes up way too much space for weapon gathering, honestly. Like, it just does. That was always my feeling about that, and I always try to stick to 2 of a weapon for a person. So if I had a weapon of theirs, I would pick 2 attributes that I thought fit the person and knows what the attributes are. So it's manageable, but it's also annoying. But in this game, it's worse because now you have to manage the character that you play with, right? Like, I'm a cavalry. This guy's a no. Shinzo is infantry, so he's gonna have a harder time against anybody who's cavalry, right? Or archer. I'm sorry, it's archer, right? Archer. So anybody who's a archer specialist, he's gonna have a hard time with. But if they're cavalry, he's gonna probably run right through them. And that sounds good at first on paper, you know, until you run into a battlefield one day where, for some reason, everybody's an archer captain, and you're like, wait, what? But why is this happening to me? And everybody's got overshield, and everybody's got higher defense, and they're tanking your hits, and you just get ran through. And I know that sounds like a preposterous scenario, but I had noticed that in one of the battles that I was playing with Koei, I ran into such a scenario where there was literally everybody infantry. So it didn't work out the way I wanted it to per se, but it didn't perter me from the battle either. Like, at the end of the day, I said I was gonna murk everybody, and I did. But like, that should never be a worry that you have. That's a situation that you can find yourself in where you decide to play as the main character because, you know, that's what they keep feeding you to do anyway in this game. Which is another thing I have a gripe about that I'll get into. But you're sitting here, you're pulling your units up, and you're playing with your main character, and you go into battle, and then that happens, and you get wrecked. I mean, you weren't looking to get wrecked. It just happened because, well, you picked the wrong thing. How are you to know that? There's no indication before battle what the enemy has as far as their unit types until they hit the battlefield. So there's no real way of knowing that in advance. So there's no real way to prepare for it. My suggestion in that scenario is, like I said before, you had multiple types of units that you could have had in this game off the bat. Make a flowchart. Instead of it just being your typical rock, paper, scissors, make a true flowchart where there's multiple units that can be trumped out by other stuff. Like, yeah, this unit's good against this unit and this unit, but it can be beat by these two units. Like, how hard is that? Like, you had enough for it. And then... I had another gameplay complaint in my head just now. And I specifically was holding on to it, and I just lost it. Oh, okay. My other thing about this whole bit, since we're talking about selecting characters and picking your army and all this stuff. So I have a gripe with... I have a very weird gripe with this, and this is going to sound weird, guys, but just hear me out. So, since Empires 5, if you had land that was connected to each other on the map via the lines, right? You could use people from any of the surrounding lands to come and help with offensive and defensive situations, no matter what. So even if I didn't have anybody stationed on that one piece of land, so long as the surrounding lands around it had people on it, they could come to the aid of that land and fight in that battle, participate, right? This game specifically tells me that that is not the case. It works that way in offensive measures, kind of, sometimes, when it wants to. It does not work that way at all in defensive. It's literally whatever is there on the land or nothing at all. Which is a bit extreme, because why wouldn't I be able to call my allies for support if I knew the enemy was on its way? Especially in a game that gives you pre-warning before you get attacked. Like, this is the only Empires game that has ever given you pre-warning before you are attacked. Like, it made my planning stages a little bit smoother, because the one thing I would keep looking for is that green line. Oh, that green line's not there? Alright, I'm good to do this for another turn. So, I mean, why wouldn't that be a thing that you could have? You know, just being able to pull units from surrounding lands if the lands are connected by a line or two. Like, oh, this one land in the middle is connected by these two lands on the side and maybe one behind it. Alright, cool. Enemies coming from a little bit further north. Alright, cool. Well, these three lands connect to this one land, or, you know, just go ahead and pull troops from here. They can defend it. I mean, they didn't always used to have people stationed on certain areas either. Like, people had to travel out sometimes for stuff like that. Just saying. It's just something to consider. And then there is the strategies, which is something that I miss dearly. The proper way. So, okay. I don't mind any of the personal strategies that are here, you know, that go off. And I'm going to say this live, guys. Like, the best game to do strategies has been Dynasty Warriors Empire 7, in my opinion. Like, and I know some people will say that they were taken out of the game when certain things happen, like fire attacks and such like that. And I know like the strategies that other people lend you are supposed to be like those field strategies, right? And that's cool and all, but I miss being able to actually have that strategy on my own, handpicked and ready to go, depending on the person that I'm playing with. Like, to be able to know that, oh, I can go in with this huge plan and play it later and at the right time and have it go off and take care of the battlefield, or have this person do this at any given point in time on the battlefield when ready. Like, I thought that was brilliant. And I'll say that 8 did a good job expanding upon the idea of it, but giving you a fair way to stop some of those larger strategies. That was a smart thing. I just missed the cinematics. I'm a huge stickler when it comes to like certain things in games. I know that about myself. But when you present me with something and then you take it away, and you're like, well, this makes it better. I'm like, not necessarily. Sometimes, like, having a cutscene to introduce something happening is a really great thing, because it makes things so much more real in that scenario. Like, oh, snaps. They just flooded my base. Why is this happening to me? Like, that's how your mind goes. But to see a message pop up on the map and you're like, wait, what just happened? Huh? And then you go to that certain location, you're like, oh, well, cool, I guess. Like, some things are better left with a little bit of extra flair, and some things aren't. I get that. But I think that having, like, those really big field strategies, they definitely should have the flair. They should always have the flair. And they should definitely have been in this game the way that they were before. Like, having things like reinforcements, and maybe some of like the other stuff, like the weird stuff, like with the animals being like those strategies as they were, that can stay like that, I think, and that's fine. But how do I say this? To take every strategy, like major strategy in the game, that you probably should have, like ambushes and stuff. Like, I feel like that should just be something I should be able to activate, as I've had for like years. Like, why do I have to specifically now go through this whole thing to make an ambush happen? Just, I don't know. Just me. So then, music, I don't think I'm going to complain about much, because honestly I don't have an issue with the music in the game. If anything, I think this fixed the one issue that I had, and I knew it would. It didn't have a choice but to fix it, right? That I had with music in 9, which was that you just didn't really get to hear it much, because the music always cut and dropped. Like, 9 had like a really weird pacing to itself. And I get that they were trying to make the game very immersive and stuff like that, but again, the format that they picked for a Dynasty Warriors game like 9 does not fit for the Dynasty Warriors mode. Now, again, this could have worked. This does work in Empires. Like, being able to go on foot and travel around like that, that works that way. That is a beautiful way to go out and then be able to recruit people. You can travel around town, go to the shops. I wish the shops had more stuff in them, but you can go to them. And just to be able to do all that way, it was a dream, right? It was an absolute dream. I actually kind of wish that some more of the stuff was done that way in this game, to give that open worldness more feeling to it. Like, actually conducting the like all the decisions and war council stuff inside of like the open world, being able to actually like leave and come back and all that stuff, and actually have like days pass as opposed to like months pass, just to kind of, or weeks rather, I'm sorry, weeks, we'll say weeks, make weeks pass instead of months, so that way the turns don't go as fast, but it can be as immersive, and you can have a skip button to skip ahead in weeks to in the month if you wanted to. So that way you could travel about more and do a little bit more rigorous stuff out in the wild, or even like do small stuff like you want a weird way to do skirmishes in the game, do it through that. Make it so that you could actually travel out, like pick like a small group of people, like 2 or 3 of your loyalists to travel out with you on foot, on horseback, however you get there, right? And then go to like an enemy checkpoint or something that's on a part of their land and like take it down and plant, like take it over, and that way you can kind of gain like a foothold and give yourself like small advantages in battle. Like I think that would be cool even. And then you can do like the weird strategies too, like how you can spread rumors and stuff to help demoralize the enemy. Like make that like a small quest line, like do it like more like a quest. So you have to travel out and meet with this person and have them do one thing while protecting them. Stuff like that, small stuff like that, right? And adds more to the idea that you have the huge sandbox to play in. Because now it makes it worthier of you doing the stuff. Like, oh, I can make this battle easier, or I can take this advantage in battle to have a easy ambush or to start a fire attack. Like if you wanted to really get around that stuff, there's a way to do it. Like there's a more inventive way to do it. Instead of just like, oh, pick this person and then complete this thing under 5 minutes. I don't know. But that's just, I don't even know how I went from music to that so quickly. But some praise that I will give to this game. And there are things to definitely be praised, for sure. One, even though I may not necessarily be full on board with the way the crate system is in its current state, with lack of things to use and whatnot, I will say that again, and I think I said this before when I did the review with the demo. This is the most detailed that they have been with body sculpting and facial features in a Dynasty Warriors game. Like they've been getting good with it over the years, like really good. But this has been the best it's been, I think, and I appreciate that a lot, actually, a lot. I can call a gem when I see one, right? And they did well. Now, another thing that I will definitely praise on for this is the difficulty of the game. I'm going to say that this is probably one of the most difficult Dynasty Warriors games I've played in a while. And the fact that it forced me to learn to play the game, forced me to learn it, is a good thing. Like that's something that's been missing from gaming for quite a bit, are games that force you to learn. And this game made me learn what my patterns needed to become in order to actually seize the day. And things that I need to look out more for, things that I need to check up on more, things that I need to do more of. This game forced me to learn my place. And you know what? I'm not mad about it. I'm actually quite happy and satisfied with that result. And I really hope that I hope to see more games in general do stuff like that. And not in like that weird dark like Souls game scenario, right? Like Souls games are just trollish from the beginning. Yes, it's teaching you to play the game, but it's teaching you in a very, very messed up way. Do I disapprove of that method? Not necessarily. It has its place. Like, honestly, I'm going to go back at some point to doing a live stream session of me playing Dark Souls, because I bought the remake. I had started it on the old channel, and then we had tons of stuff happen, from the moving to the COVID to a whole bunch of other stuff, I put this whole series to an abrupt stop because it was something I wasn't doing alone. It was something I was doing with 2 other people in the room, because I needed for somebody to be reading the comments and chatting with me and chatting back and forth with you guys as those comments are coming up to make things more interesting for my gameplay. And it did. It did. And I got trolled eventually. And I started to learn the true ridiculousness of Souls games. Like the earlier trolls, I got by without an issue. Nobody told me anything. I just got by. But the absolute minute that I walked into that first boss fight, I went, oh, well, this is happening now. And I got wrecked. And truth be told, kind of happy about it. Like, that's kind of what you tend to aim for in a game, but technically see where you stand in the game. Am I on the level? Am I not on the level? If I get wrecked here today, will I be able to get better tomorrow? If that's not how you're looking at games, you should be. And then there is this other thing that I appreciate. And this also comes from the Create system. I really do appreciate, and I've probably mentioned this a little bit earlier when I was talking about it, I really do kind of appreciate the idea of them being able to tie lineage together in this game. So me having my create characters and being like, oh dude, this is kind of cool. Now I can actually say for a fact that these are the parents, these are the siblings, and see how the game interacts with that. And that's something that I plan on testing soon. Like, I'm going to make a set of characters soon. And actually, you know what? Well, no, I need to write down some information real quick so I can kind of get an idea of what I want to do for Stiff. But oh, okay, so I just have to go through all? Is that what's happening? Okay. Yeah. Cool. Oh, he's not going to be listed here. That's right. He is technically up here. See, I was thinking backwards, guys. And now I'm thinking with my forward brain. So I'm gonna probably do that soon and just kind of test the waters to see what it looks like when you have like multiple children by like one person, and see if I can get the results that I want out of this, by the way. I'm probably also going to try to see if I can cheat the system. Actually, skip all that for a second. We're not even doing this anymore. I want to test this while we're on stream. I'm just curious to see if I can cheat the system. The minute I said it out loud, I realized that, wait a minute, I have time now. So skip that. That force thing more and more, I really want it. I need to go back and edit his eyes and make them a little more sharper too, now that I'm looking at that this way. So I just had a thought, guys, and I'm just curious to see if this works. If this works, this is going to be awesome. Because this happens at the end, right? The childbirth happens at the end. I'm just curious to see if the game's going to let me pull this off. Oh, and it put me right back on Final Battle. Oh. So I might actually be able to do this. Hold on, guys. Oh, goodness me. This is about to be everything. Okay. So the theory that I have right now that I'm about to test out, guys, and if anybody knows this already before I do this, please feel free to let me know. But the theory that I have is that I'm going to essentially attack in game again and get another birth happening, like child-wise, like. Oh, that's right, he was fitting to evade. Not this time. But you see what I mean? You have to pick one and only one. Whereas back in the day, I could have literally have picked whatever surrounding lands and just literally been like, oh, pull from all of them in mix match. Like, I kind of miss that. It's actually why when Empire 6 came out, one of my favorite things was that I didn't have to think about who's on what land, because it was just like, oh, here's just a list of all of your officers. Have at it. Send whoever. Like, I thought that was brilliant. But I do understand, like, how busted that could kind of be. I mean, it definitely made flowing through the game easier after a while. Kind of brain dead a little bit. But in this scenario, I still feel like if we're going back to the old methods, stick with the old methods the full way. At least allow for me to pull from the surrounding lands, if that's the case. No, we got Machao. We're good. We got Machao and Peng Day. We're good. We'll do this way. So now I will say that the siege battle idea, they definitely did a great job in 9 in pushing that scenario further and just making that same thing translate almost exactly the same way in this game. I thought that was fine. But again, my gripe with it is just that every battle is a siege battle, and I don't think every battle should be a siege battle. Like this right here can be a siege battle, but let's at least have a build up into the part where it's actually the siege. Let's actually have to push across the battlefield first to get to this line where we then get into the siege. Like, I think that would have been a little bit better, personally, but you know, again, everybody has their way of thinking on that. And let's see. What haven't we done? Juggernaut Construction, which could be busted. Summon Wolfpack, definitely busted. Summon Thunder. Tiger Pounce. Just a lot of Summon Thunder and Summon and construction of Juggernauts, I see. That's what I'm seeing a lot of. You know what? I'll do the Juggernauts. Why not? We'll do that. It's been a while. Okay. What's wrong with that? Alright, so... You know what, no. I'll let those three be free to do what they need. It'll make it easier for me. Alright, so... I feel like there's another gripe that I should be bringing up, but I can't think of what it is right now. So, instead of looking for a gripe, I will give this game another praise for one thing that I was actually surprised about being in the game, which I don't know how I feel about it being a strategy per se, but I did actually enjoy it, and that was the Night Raid. Like, that was actually a really cool thing. Like, I didn't understand what was happening at first when I was doing it, but then once I started to put it together, I realized, like, oh. But I thought that was like a really cool concept of an idea to have in the game, like the way they did it. Do I think the Night Raid should necessarily be a strategy that way? I don't know. I think maybe the Night Raid should be like what I said before, like with skirmishes and stuff. One of those scenarios, maybe you put it as a quest line to help you gain an advantage later against the enemy. And you put it so that it's something that you can do in the open world section. And you can go by yourself, or you can take like maybe one or two people with you. And you make it so that like for the Night Raid, like you can do it, but like you have to do it within like a certain amount of time, or maybe you have to do it without taking a certain amount of damage. Or you can go to the Ganin route and they give you like a small troop to go with you, and you can only lose but like so many of them. And then after a certain point it's a failure. And maybe it's, I don't know, 3, maybe 4 enemy officers that you have to deal with during a raid. I think that would be fair. I think that would be fair. You and your 3 officers and their 4 officers, and oh man. I just lost my chance at a strategy. Lovely. Let it by Mama. Okay. Why are we overran like this? It's so weird. And this is it. Okay, I think this was the gripe that I was coming at. The AI in this game is so weird to me. Like, I don't mind difficulty level, right? But a lot of games' difficulty level usually comes from button reading, or, you know, just in most games' cases, it would be like, oh, for a game like this would be, oh, larger life bars, more damage, and oh, by the way, there's more of them. But this game starts off weirdly difficult because the AI in this game makes really strange and unpredictable decisions both for your troops and the enemy troops. Like, I can never tell what kind of AI day I'm going to have in this game. And while that may not necessarily sound like it's an issue, in a game like this, there has to be, and especially for me not playing hard mode, right? Like, I'm only playing normal. If I was playing hard mode, I would complain less about this. But there has to be some slight form of predictability, or at least you being able to read movements of what's happening on the battlefield. Like, in order to truly dictate how to proceed, that's what needs to happen. Like, it needs to be somewhat predictable. And again, if it's on hard mode and it's like this, I won't complain because it's hard mode. And honestly, it should be like that. Highly unpredictable AI movement without you being able to figure out, are they all charging in at once or are they all spreading out and my people are the ones being stupid. Now I have to try to give them orders, but now they don't know how to follow orders. So now we're screwed. Like, honestly, that would be another thing that was a missed opportunity. Yeah, you have the title, which is supposed to have like light and dark connotation affiliates, right? If that's the case, why not have added to that the ability to maybe not be able to give orders to those units if you don't have the same alignment? Like, you recruit somebody who has a dark alignment, but maybe you're the light alignment, right? Maybe they don't follow your orders. Or maybe you can give them orders, but it's not always guaranteed that they'll follow. You know, kind of like a... who am I thinking of? Zhang Wei. I'm sorry, not Zhang Wei. Wei Yan. Wei Yan is what I'm thinking about. Sorry. My head is everywhere today. Wei Yan. So think of Wei Yan and Zhuge Liang. Zhuge Liang immediately didn't like Wei Yan for no reason. And Wei Yan decided that he wasn't going to deal with Zhuge Liang's shit. And so Zhuge Liang had him killed. Like, make those things that could actually be accessible to you on the battlefield to happen. So that way you can even maybe think about repairing relationships, even like trying to better your relationship with that person to see if maybe, you know, things go a little more smoothly in the battlefield with you. But like, you know, don't completely like, oh, it's 100% friendship, so now this person will never portray you do anything stupid again. Like, maybe don't do that. Maybe just lessen the chance more and more, like to the point where maybe there's still like at the end, at the S friendship, maybe the percentage level of that happening becomes like 10, maybe 15% chance of it happening, as opposed to like full on 175, you know? This is not going as well as I hoped. Oh, they got a fire attack off. Christian, how did you let this happen? Yeah, this is absolutely stupid. Okay, so I'm trying to think. Is there anything that I would want to add in this that's not in the game already? Because I'm pretty sure they still have the ability to like download other people's created characters. I think that's still in the game. I haven't tested that yet, but if it is still in the game, I'm probably gonna test that out. And if you guys want to put any characters up, or if you have some characters up for download already, let me know. I'll definitely like download your character, and I'll do like character showcases, and I'll make sure to put you guys' names up there with the character, so that way people know that, like, who the character came from. And then, you know, if we get enough of them, maybe I'll do a playthrough with everybody's characters running armies, and you guys, I'll even let you guys pull in and tell me who you want in your forces. Yo, Payne Day getting jumped. So, if you guys are interested in other videos for Dynasty Warriors stuff, I am still going to be doing my recordings for this stuff soon, so don't worry about that. That's still gonna happen. It's just I need life to chill. I need real life to chill for me. I really do. Just so I can actually have the time. Because again, I have the series that I'm gonna start anyway. I have the material written down. I just need to be able to sit in front of the camera to do it long enough. That's what it's come down to. And now that we got the studio area back, which I don't forgot to say, surprise, we got that back just like last weekend. This past weekend, I should say. So we just finally got this back. And I would have been happier to have finished the gameplay through down here, but it is what it is when people drag their feet, so. The other thing that I'm really kind of hoping for at this point now, like, whatever the next Dynasty Warriors game may be, like, honestly, I'm hoping they took all this stuff into consideration, what they've done with this game. And again, 9, the solid state system, in no small feat are these things necessarily terrible or overly bad. The execution for these things are just weirdly done, right? And we all know that the solid state system is just another shot at Rimbu. Rimbu isn't a terrible system in itself, but the execution for it was kind of poor. I think the thing that brought the Rimbu system down the most was really the gauge. Like, once you bring a gauge into play and you tell me that I have to keep a gauge up in order to be able to keep all my moves and my attacks, that's what kind of ruins it. And, I mean, yeah, if you level a character up and you get the infinite gauge thing unlocked, that's great, but the fact that that's a thing that I have to go through, so that's what makes it weird. And you guys notice, I'm not even upset about the idea of unlocking moves because we've done that for years with Dynasty Warriors since 3. Like, the higher up you went in weapons, the more moves you got for the weapon, right? And then, you know, more recently with 8 and yeah, with 8, because I can't remember how that worked in 7 anymore, but I know in 8 it was based on a level up system. It was like, all right, your character just reached level 50, now all your moves are unlocked. All right, cool. Like, so that's not a problem to have to unlock the movements. The problem is that I unlock the movement, but I still can't do it because you said that I have to keep this combo gauge up. Like, honestly, that combo gauge would have been much better replaced with something else. Like, maybe that could have been the awakening gauge. Like, you guys could have kept the awakening mode from 5 in the game. And that could have been the awakening gauge. I think that would have probably been better. Like, could you guys imagine if you had an awakening mode in Dynasty Warriors 6 during that time? I mean, I know we had, who was it? Strike Force, which was basically, if Dynasty Warriors characters became Dragon Ball Z characters, as anime as possible, but God, I miss Strike Force. I honestly wish that they would have released Multi-Raid 2, or rather Strike Force 2, I guess is what it would have been known here, in America. I really, really wish they would have, and I wish they would have did the same thing they did for Multi-Raid 2 in Japan here as well, which is a PlayStation release. Like, I don't think that game ever got a console release, even in Japan. I gotta look that back up though. I could be wrong. It might have gotten it in Japan. It might have got the console release in Japan. And honestly, I would love nothing more than go back and play Strike Force. Maybe that's something we can do. So, okay, interesting. I think I'm going to do a poll for you guys. And I'm going to let you guys pick what's the next game I play on stream, as far as Dynasty Warriors games. And I'll have somebody pick a list of games from a hat. We'll say 4 games max number for the hat, or from the hat. And then those are the games that'll make the polls. And then we'll let you guys decide in the polls what's the next game. I think that would be the fair way to do it. And then if any of you guys would like, and you have the games, like, we can always, if like it's a game that actually has like online multiplayer to it, we can always play together on stream. I don't mind. I actually like love playing games with people, so it's always fun. Or I can trick somebody else into letting me borrow a copy and getting somebody else to play with me online. There's multiple ways I can make that work. But Strike Force is such a fun game that I would literally learn to play that game all over again just so I can do a recording or a live stream of it. Wait, where is... Oh, because the door was never opened, that's why. I ran in there, that's right. Right, that makes sense. So, it's almost time, guys. It's almost time. We can almost get the answer to the question. Man, that sucks. Let's do it. So, I'm trying to think. Like, obviously it's gonna work, right? Like, at this point, it's gonna work. Like, my cheat is gonna work, right? Like, I can definitely use this cheat method that I'm about to use to quickly get results, right? So, in case you guys are wondering what it is I'm trying to do, I'm running back the final battle to get the completion again, to get the birth of the child cutscene again, to see if it gives me a different child of a different gender. Or at the very least, if it's of the same gender, if it gives me one with a different design. I am just curious to see what happens. Oh man. Come here. Why are you stuck? This is another thing too, like, so you see how we siege, this isn't even a castle, this is like a town, just an old town. One thing, hey, I need that life bar to disappear now. Got it. Alright, there we go. So, that's done. Let's see if my genius trap works. But this is definitely something that I kind of just want to see if it works. But again, I just thank you to, you know, everybody who's been watching for the night. I know nobody had anything to say, but if you guys still want anything left to say, because I think I'm going to probably call it here. I don't want to be rambling on for like another whole hour and a half after this, but after this cutscene and after this next cutscene, I think we're done. Yes. None of this matters now. Nah, just kill them all. Kill her too. Oh man. Kill Jinhei. Just kill them all. I just want to get to the... Okay. I actually can't wait to finally get the time to sit down and start to film this stuff because, again, this is stuff that I've written a while ago actually, and initially I posted it up as a piece of reading because just for me it was more of a mental exercise just to get some ideas out of my head. But I think it'll be received better in video format. I think with you guys watching the videos and just kind of telling me back what you think, because when I posted it, like nobody read it, sadly, and I just kind of wanted feedback, or at the very least to get the discussion started. It sparked nothing, so hopefully this way there will be a discussion in some way or form, maybe, possibly. That. Okay. Is this the part where we go? Scene. Child was born. Okay. So we got a guy this time. We got a guy officer out of it this time, guys. Kind of ugly. But we got a guy nonetheless. Okay. So this actually works. This is good to know. This is actually going to make things a little bit simpler for what I want to do. So I'm glad that I now know that this works. So that being said, thank you guys so much for watching all of the content that I created for Dynasty Warriors, or aka better known as Koei Day. At some point, I plan on trying to maybe do a facelift for the channel to get a few things looking a little bit different here and there, slowly but surely. Again, once I'm able to actually sit down so I can record this stuff the way that it needs to be recorded, it's gonna be a fun day. So, the other thing that I just want to say, like, if you guys are sticking around, you're watching this, check out the channel itself in its entirety. If you like any of the other stuff that I've been doing, like, just feel free to just chill around, watch the stuff. Share, subscribe, you know, maybe just show it off to your buddies here and there. Just put it out there in the world. You know, I won't really say what's coming up next, because honestly at this point, with the way things have been going in life in general, I don't know yet. But I would like to say that if for nothing else, I want to continue to keep doing this, because, as I said, this right here is a little piece of joy. Even in this turmoil that my life is going through right now with the stuff going on around me, this still brings me a bit of joy and satisfaction and just all around fun. So thank you guys for joining me, and hopefully next time we do one of these, more people will show up, maybe even comment next time. But till then, catch you guys later, and just remember, do not pursue Lubu.